Hi there, it's Simone here. I am just going to run you through how I made this card. Now I've got a few bits, as you can see, I've got a few sort of leftover pieces. I've sort of got bits and pieces that I've started, and there will be some other bits that I'll do with you. But essentially, I'm just going to show you that this is the card that we are working from. So the reason I came up with this card is I actually have on my website, I have something called a card creator. So if you go to simonecollins.com.au and click on the card creator section, you'll see that I actually have an area where you can choose your colour combination, and then you can choose your card sketch. So using the colour combination and one of the card sketches that I've got there on that little section on my card creator, I've come up with this card. So if you're interested at all, just jump over to simonecollins.com.au and have a look at my card creator and see if there's a way that you can use it to make your next card. So this is the one that we are going to do. So I've got my piece of card here. This has been cut at 14.5 centimeters and then scored, so it's 14.5 centimeters this way, and then I've scored it at 10.5. I take that back, 14.5 centimeters this way. This is 21 centimeters, scored at 10.5. So there's that. Now I do usually just quickly grab my bone folder, which is usually here, and I am going to leave that in the video. I'm sorry, because if I start editing my video, I just never get around to posting the video. So there's that one. Now this is just a piece. This is 14.5 by 10.5 centimeters, and I'm going to run this one through using the using this embossing folder. I'm not using, you'll see in that bundle there's actually a die that cuts out parts of the leaf, but I don't actually want that for this card. So there we go. I'm just going to quickly run that through. Just bring this over. There we go. Just run this through. Oh. And then once I've put this through, I then cut it to be 14 centimeters by 10 centimeters. The reason I leave it bigger and then cut it down later is because sometimes I find that the dry embossing the card actually shrinks the card because it slightly changes dimensions. So I do what I want to do first, and then I trim it down. So I'm just going to quickly pop over and do that. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I'm back again. So that's now been cut to 14 centimeters by 10 centimeters. So that's ready to go on here. And then the next one I'm going to do is just cut this shape here out ready as well. So I'll quickly pop that one through. Like I said, I've done some of these things have been done and some haven't. Yeah. Takes me no time at all to lose the things that I was using just a second ago. I'm sure you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Especially translucent things like the cutting plates and photopolymer stamps, am I right? Okay, so there's that. Get rid of those again. Okay. Now we have that, and I've got a piece here of the strawberry slush ribbon. So I'm just going to pop that I usually try to make it sort of roughly a third up. I work in thirds. So if this here is 14 centimeters, so like I said, it's just kind of roughly. So I would consider a third of 12 would be 4, plus a little bit more because it's up to 14 for 4.5. So that's literally how rough my working out is for that. So what I'll do is I'll make it using this. Hang on, I'll just move the camera so you can see. So using this, I will just pop that so that the ribbon sits at 4.5. Just grab my tape, which I did not have before. I cut it, I can see now I cut it a bit too long. I don't know why I did that. However, I did. So there we go. What I might just quickly do is cut that down. Definitely don't need it to be that long. Okay. So then I will turn it over and make sure I have that ribbon there at 4.5. and then the same along there. And fold that over. I just use normal tape for this. No need to use up double-sided tape or anything crazy. Just to hold it down. There we go, there's that. And then we'll put that on there shortly, but I won't be doing that bit just yet. So I've got a few pieces of my flowers here already. So you'll see some of them here are cut. Now this one here I've inked with Lost Lagoon, and you'll see this one here is Lost Lagoon but then stamped off once and then inked on the paper. Now this is my scrap paper here, so I actually do need another one of these, so I'll just do that one now. Because I often do extras when I'm stamping just to make it a bit more worthwhile. So I have some spares, but not all. So there's that one. And then just stamp that off. Now going into my my stamps. Here they are over here. I've got too many desks, obviously. So I want 3 of these. Now I've only got 2 so far. 1, 2, and I want another one. So I'll just show you what I do with this. So I'm still using the Lost Lagoon, but then I stamp it off once and then onto the card. So it's the same colour. You can see there it's the same colour. It's just kind of a bit of a different depth of colour. So that's what I've done there. Now you don't need to watch me die cut these. So I'll just quickly die cut all the bits that I need and then I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back again. I've got all my pieces cut out except for my saying where it's going to say just because. I haven't done that one yet. So now what I'll do is if I have a look at this card, because it always takes me so long to decide where to position everything, so I always have to copy afterwards. So you'll see here I don't have those little bits of stem there, so I'll just cut those off. There we go. And then just decide where I'm going to position all the leaves. Now, whenever I sit down to do this, I'm always missing things. So now I have a look and I've got a leaf that sits just up above there. So I just put a little bit of the multi-purpose glue on. I always have a bit of this leftover glue there. Just get rid of that. I just put on a little tiny dab of glue. You really don't need too much because you don't want it to end up by showing. So just pop that on. Doesn't need to be exact, just around about there. That looks good. And then I'm just going to do the next 2 as well. Just put another little dot of glue on each of these. Ready to go. Put those there. They don't need to be in exactly the same place because this is not actually a factory production line, which is why we do it, right? So there we go. There's those ones there. And we just roughly pop these leaves here. So this is the leaves there. That's the ones that are a bit lighter because I stamped off the ink once. As for this, I just roughly pop those on so they are hanging over. I just put a little bit of glue on the backs of these. Don't need heaps because you know it's not exactly going to be doing too much. You shouldn't have to worry too much about holding everything on. There we go. Don't want that too low down off of here. Oops, just there we go. Don't want it too low here because then it might end up by being off the card. Oh, obviously didn't put enough glue on there or enough pressure. All right, so now just a little bit more on that end. Just have it hanging over a bit. It's just nice to have it hanging over. It just gives it a little bit of extra kind of dimension when it hangs over the edge. Okay, now it doesn't really matter if you've got a bit of glue showing because there is going to be lots of things kind of covering this. Now I actually find it easiest to next pop these on and then I put the little flowers on underneath. So these are going to be popped up a bit. So I've got my mini Stampin' Dimensionals here. So I'll just pop those on. put one there and maybe one there as well, and that just will hold all of those individual pieces in place. Now if I just have a look, because I don't want to take these off if they're going to stick to the paper, that's going to be a problem. So I'll just have a look and make sure first that they're all going to stick on. That one's under there. Yep, that will be okay. Yep, no, they're all fine. I have done that before. As you can tell, I'm always a bit nervous now. I end up by sticking things to random bits of paper that I don't want to. Oops. Or, like you just saw then, my own finger. Alright, so now I'll pop that in. There we go. And then we'll just probably put that a little bit higher than I did last time. I've put it quite a lot higher than I did last time, and that is exactly what I love about card making. It does not need to be exact. So then I just, oops, why bother? Exactly what I was talking about. I'm just going to have to be really careful not to, there, pop that there for now. The things we do, hey? So I'll just pop that under there because I can see I've got some glue showing, so that's perfect place for that flower there, so that that bit of glue doesn't show. So that's one of the bigger flowers. So I'll make the other bigger flower over this side, just to kind of square it up a little bit. There we go. That's kind of a big white space there. There we go. And so now I just have a look, because I always put them in somewhere a bit kind of a little bit different, especially because I've positioned the red flowers on a different place here. So look, this time I might even put one, I might make this one here down there instead. No, I won't, because I'll have my just because there. So you do have to be a little bit strategic about where you put them. It's not exactly a high stakes chess game here, but just a little bit strategic. There we go. Oop. Pop that one under. There we go. And so now I guess I must have decided to put them in these places for a specific reason last time, so maybe I'll go with that. There we go. Oh, did I not? I thought I'd stuck that one down and I had not. I've done it again. Okay. Pop that one down there. Alright, so there's those flowers. Now I might just quickly grab a piece of scrap paper. Oops, I've emptied my bin, that's a bit of a pain. Alright, it's just some bits of scrap. So if I just scrape that up so that I hopefully won't stick to it. And there's a bit more here. Just scrape up that glue, because I know that is going to be a problem for me otherwise. Alright, so now we've got that ready to go. We've already got our ribbon on. So the next thing we need to do is put our Just Because. Now I've used Just Because from the Fabulous Sayings set. I'm assuming it's still available. I'm really hoping it's still available. I do really like this set. I love that font. Having said that, that's not the font I'm using today. So, Just Because. That will fit on that one. Yes, it will. There we go. Just take that off and quickly grab the pad that I need. Okay. Just test it. I often end up with a piece of, you know, the backing from the mini Stampin' Dimensionals. Now, so I'll just pop that. This is just a piece of scrap. Just needs to go in the middle. So that's all good. And then I'll use this, this die to cut that out. I'll be back in a sec. Okay, I'm back. I've got my Just Because cut out, and I am actually going to change something here. On this card here, you'll see I don't have anything around the outside, but I've decided I'm just going to shake this one up a little bit, because I just can't help myself. I'm always making changes, so I just get this and just run the outside of it around the ink pad, like so. So if you still have some markers, or you probably could do it with the blends as well. I'm a bit precious about my blends, but with markers or the blends, you could actually run around the outside and do the same thing. But if you've got an ink pad there and not the blends or the markers, because of course the markers are sort of, I'm not sure if they're still available, you can just run around the outside with that. So now I just need to pop that on, although I think I'd better stick this one down first. Now for this one here, I think I'm actually going to use double-sided tape, because I think it'll hold better because of the raised parts from the dry embossing. So I'll just quickly put some of that on. I kind of go through phases. Sometimes I use double-sided tape for everything, then I go through a phase where I'm using multi-purpose glue. I love that the multi-purpose glue gives me a bit of time to jiggle things around if I pop them in the wrong place. Okay, so that's that. Take off all the backing here from my tape and tear. Okay, just roughly, just needs to be wherever you think is right. I'll just make it so I don't really want the leaves to be overhanging from there. There we go, I think that looks about right, and just kind of make that down the bottom. Oops, I'm a bit out of screen here. Just make that float to the bottom there, and that should be fine. Yep, that's right. Pop that there. Now just some more Stampin' Dimensionals, mini Stampin' Dimensionals. Pop those on there. And then just have a look and see where's a good place to pop these. Just try and make that even there. Okay. There we go, there's the just because. Now somewhere hiding under here, here they are. Here we have these are the 25 to 27 in colour flat pearls. Now I'm just using these ones here from the Strawberry Slush. Just pop one down here. Just the big one all on its own there. Sorry, that was not supposed to be the big one. However, I find these reasonably unforgiving, which is fabulous. There we go, the big one over there, the middle size one down here, and then the small one to be up here. Okay, there we go, I'm pretty happy with that. Now I just need to, oh, that's an envelope. I don't want to stick it to the envelope. I'll just pop this on here. I'm going to use double-sided tape again. Sometimes I do still use the multi-purpose glue for this part. Don't really know why. I'm just shaking things up today, making it a little bit different. Keeps things a bit more exciting when you don't even know yourself what you're going to do. There we go. Now I find it easier to open the card up before I put the card, I don't know, the card decoration, the card, not really sure what you call this part. It's not the card base because that's what I'm putting it onto. Anyway, there we go. So now I'll just try and do this without bumping the camera. There we go, I'm pretty happy with that position. Yep. Okay, now I'll just very carefully push around the outside, hopefully not to bump anything. And there we go. There is that card all made again. So I've got Lost Lagoon, Strawberry Slush, and Lemon Lolly. So that's the colours that I've got. That's 3 of the colours that are one of the colour combinations from my card creator on my website, like I was talking about before. And obviously this is one of the templates as well. So jump over there and have a look, see if you can use that for your next card. Thanks. Bye.